going door to door about some political thing. And then he was also like espousing the political stuff on the next website. And people then, everyone like playing. Look at that. Oh, he's going up.
Yeah. He's a salmon.
Oh, he's got a...
He's got the camera.
Oh, he's got a...
Your expectations of coming into accept. Wow.
Trying to get Rob to come through. See, like, yeah,
We got hammocks. We'll hammock all the way.
Maybe we should go check in.
Kannst du noch was? Kannst du mir denken?
Just start thinking.
the performers and artists from the era that Forbidden City highlights are still with us, and we need to learn from their stories as young artists, musicians, and creative people in our community really need to learn from them as well. So I'd like to ask Arthur if he could come forward, and on behalf of our Mayor Ed Lee, our Board of Supervisors, our Public Defender Jeff Adachi, and the whole San Francisco City family, thank you so much to Arthur and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan and Eric and Jeff. Jeff and I, we were, I don't know if you remember, Jeff, but years ago we were judges for a beauty contest. Do you remember that? That was quite fun. What a great turnout. This is really so exciting. I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a background of how I started this whole project. And I think I created this PowerPoint. I'm not really great at this. I'm a movie maker, so oh, there, it works. This is Jadine Wong. She kind of started it on 85 for me because she was the first person I met connected to the nightclubs. I had read an article about her, and then she lived in New York, so I flew out to New York to meet her. And she has such wonderful stories. And she just told me about this whole circuit of nightclubs, including Forbidden City, the Club Shanghai, and the Chinese Sky Room, Kubla Khan, and Lion's Den in San Francisco that I had never heard of before. I had seen the Forbidden City, the club, as a kid walking by, but that was just one chance encounter. So I spent 5 days with her and just hearing these wonderful stories, some of which are in the book. And at the same time, her dance partner, Jackie Meiling, was there, and he was a total blast. He's the kind of like the uncle that you never had, that's just fun and witty, and he was gay, and that was really important for me to know that there were older Chinese men that were gay. And he had this great white puff of hair. Here he is dancing with partners, Dottie Sun on this side, I can't tell left, right, and Mary Mammon on that side. And this is Mary Mammon. This is when I met her I think she was living in Oakland at that time. And she was a dancer that started in the 40s. What started happening was, just from meeting one, I met another and another. It just kind of was like a domino effect. Here's Dottie Sun. She was in Sacramento. When I was researching for the documentary and my initial meeting of these folks, I was really focusing on folks who worked at Forbidden City, the club itself, during the 40s, because the 40s was pretty much the heyday for this nightclub period. Although it started somewhat in the 1936 up through 1970, I was focusing on the 40s and specifically Forbidden City because that was pretty much the most well-known of the clubs that were around. Now, this is Charlie Lowe, who was the mastermind behind Forbidden City. Now, when I went to New York to visit Jadine, I stayed with my old-time friend Kevin G, who I had known for years, and we used to hang out a lot, and he moved to New York to pursue an acting career. And he says, well, why are you in town here? And I said, well, I'm meeting Jadine Wong, who used to dance at Forbidden City. And he says, well, Charlie Lowe is my stepfather. It was like, did I know that and never thought about it? But it was like, okay, Jadine, Kevin, Charlie, it all kind of came to place. And of course, then what happened is he instantly introduced me to Charlie, and because I had this personal connection to Charlie, it opened up all sorts of doors and allowed me to meet everybody. And just here at these, this is taken at the Lowe Apartments, which is still standing now at the corner of Powell and Washington, at the big, tall, white building. That's the building that he constructed when he faced housing discrimination when he first arrived in San Francisco from Nevada in the 1920s. So he goes, well, hell, they're not going to rent to me. I'm going to build my own house. And he did. And that's the history behind the Lowe Apartments. Larry Ching, known as he had a marketing name called the Chinese Frank Sinatra. And I think Larry's family is here. Phil, are you here? Phil? Yeah, they're in the back row there, they're waving. You want to stand, Phil? This is his son and his family. And here's the strange thing. Phil and I went to, we're in grammar school together and junior high, but not in high school, right? No, okay. And at that time, I lived on Jackson across the street from the cable car barn. And Phil lived on Taylor and Jackson. And we used to hang out at his apartment. I'm not sure if we ever met your father, but certainly I never knew that your father was a singer. And this is true of many of the performers that I had met, was that for many reasons, they didn't want to talk about their past. Some just said, well, the past is the past, just let it go and go on to another career. For some of them, because they were ostracized by certain communities, they felt that, well, maybe this is something I don't want to expose about myself, that this is a secret that I should keep. And Larry was one of them where I never knew that Phil was the son of a singer like Larry. I'm not sure what I would have done if I had known, so this is Larry. This is Lily Pond, who is on the cover of one of the programs. And this is, I think, the program you read here. It says, your program for the evening, come along with me, please. I'll show you how to have fun in Chinese. It's just, I just love that sense of humor. And I think one thing that I found really striking was these clubs, outside of one club in New York City called China Doll, these clubs were owned and operated by Chinese Americans. And there was a sense of humor and a sense of taking control of the racist attitudes of that time and playing with it and marketing it and knowing that they were doing that on purpose, as opposed to being a victim of racism. They took that racism and said, okay, all right, this is how you see us, this is how we're gonna take it, bring it right back to you. And this is such a great example of that attitude. Different from the China Doll nightclub in New York City, which was owned and operated by a Caucasian man. And whereas the shows here in San Francisco in the Chinese clubs, Chinese-owned clubs, had shows like the Chinese Gershwin show, or the Gay 90s show, or the Gold Rush show. In New York, the China Doll had shows like Slant-Eyed Scandals. Right? You know, that's the kind of shows they had. And that club only lasted a couple of years. So I found that very striking. And in a lot of the marketing material from the China Doll, there's kind of an edge of a meanness to it, where it's not about co-opting or taking control of that attitude, but it's like perpetuating that attitude instead. So it's quite a big difference. Anyway, this is one of my favorite images. I opened actually my book with this image, and I've always loved it. The actual program is on display outside, so you can take a look at the actual program itself. It is Mei Li, and I interviewed her. She didn't end up being in the film, but I just love those shoes. It's like, look at those shoes. It's like, I just love this photo. And when I was meeting all these performers between 85 and 92, I would always ask them for an autograph photo. And they were so generous with sharing their items and just willing to just give me a photo like this. And anyway, I treasure them, and they're on display as well. There's a wall of autograph photos. And I want to point out that this is the third show that I've curated. And it's very important for me personally, when I go to see an exhibit, I love to see the real thing, even if it's wrinkled or even if it's tearing apart or brown or faded. Something about seeing the real thing just takes me to that time closer. Now, I'm lucky because I've gotten to touch all this stuff. You won't be able to, and you better not. I don't want to see you taking off a case and touching stuff. And the blow-ups on the wall are blow-ups, so they're reproductions. And some of the items are framed. But when I met these performers, I said, you know, I don't want to be rude, but I want the original photo. I don't want a reprint from 1985 or 1970, because I want the real thing. And they were all very generous with their memories. It's Tony Wing. Who's taken a lesson with Tony Wing in here? Wow, look at this. He would be so proud. He's like Tony Wing, the dance teacher. So you all know Tony Wing, right? And even before I started this project, I knew of his studio because I would walk by his studio in Chinatown. And all of these contemporary photos that you see are photos that I shot of them probably the first time I interviewed them, so I wanted to catch them fresh in terms of our meeting. This is Toyette Ma. She was marketed as the Chinese Sophie Tucker. She was living in Fresno at that time, and she was what you call a belter, powerful voice. And she felt that her performance careers was pretty much over, and she felt like you know, I had to move on. Life goes on. I can't be a performer forever. She became a file clerk, and she was very happy doing that, and finally retired as a postal clerk. And of course, it's Noelle Toy, the bubble dancer. And because of her, the spotlight on Chinese American nightclubs in 1940 was really shining, because people had never seen a performer like her before in this way. And she was discovered, quote unquote, at the World's Fair, the Golden Gate Exposition in Treasure Island in 1940 by Charlie Lowe, whose club was really almost near bankrupt. And he needed some kind of energy, some kind of new idea to spice things up, to get people to come to the club. And he heard of Noelle, went to the where Noelle was working, which was a concession called the Candid Camera concession, which was kind of an artist concession, where they had nude models posing on stage, and if you paid your whatever it cost for your ticket to come in, you would come in and you would be able to take a picture of them because they were posing for artists. So they were artist models. And so that's how Charlie found her and said, hey, you want to be my Chinese Sally Rand, who was a famous exotic dancer of the period? And she goes, yeah, sure. And that was the beginning of the big boom for the nightclubs. And here is Dorothy Toy and Paul Wing of Toy and Wing. And I'll be talking more about that in just a second. But Paul's stepson, Tony, is here. Here's Tony. Is he still here? Tony, you want to stand up? That's Tony. And come on, stand up. And he was, thank you. And Tony was very generous in loaning us Paul's 1930s beautiful costume that's outside. It's on display, and a lot of the photos as well. So thank you, Tony, for doing that. And he even hand-delivered it to us here at the library. Now, I also was interested in the other clubs, and this is Ed Pond. He was an insurance man who owned and operated the Kubla Khan at the corner of Bush and Grant. The building is still there at the gateway of to Chinatown. And he also owned a smaller club called the Dragon's Lair, which wasn't a full-fledged nightclub, it was more like a cocktail lounge, but that had performances as well. And this is Fritz Jensen. Did the Jensen family come? Chris, did you come? I guess not. But he's the piano player. You can see him there with the Harry Abramson Band. And I'm sorry, I cut out Harry, the leader. Is the Abramson family, did Jen come? No, okay, I don't have to apologize now. All right. Well, if anybody knows her, tell her I apologized in public. But it just didn't fit in the frame. So this is Fritz. And this is Walton Biggerstaff, one of the original producers and choreographers that worked in all the clubs, except I think the China Doll. I don't think he worked at the China Doll, but he worked in all the Bay Area clubs. And I interviewed him as well. And this is one of the best days of my life here. And after meeting a lot of the performers, Francis Chen, who is at the bottom middle, a singer, was gracious enough to host a kind of a reunion, because although I've been meeting all these folks, a lot of them haven't been talking to each other. So and they would ask me, well, how's Mary doing? How's Dottie doing? How's Jadine doing? I said, well, why don't we all get together? So Frances was very generous and opened up her house in Oakland on August 18, 1988. And I gathered as many people as I could in the Bay Area to come join us. And it was really a really great party. And I think I have some video of it somewhere, but it was just a wonderful party. Right now, I want to segue into introducing some guests that are here in the audience with us, who were performers as well. First is, this is a photo of Arlene Wing and Cisco Borges. Cisco Borges was a dancer, and she was the former wife of the performer Jimmy J. Borges, who will be performing later. But Arlene Wing is the baby sister of Tony Wing, and she performed at the clubs. She kind of grew up at the clubs and then started dancing at the clubs as well into the 60s. And Arlene is here today, so if Arlene can you stand up and turn around. Arlene. Now, this is Barbara Young, a fabulous dancer from the 40s, and she was recently, a few years ago, was inducted into the Burlesque Hall of Fame. Now, this is because we're in the library, this is not the complete picture. But Barbara is still gorgeous tonight, and she's here with us. Barbara, can you stand, please? And Cynthia Fong Yi, who is the center. This is the Oriental Playgirls, which is a troupe of performers put together by Dorothy Toy of Toy and Wing. But Cynthia Fong Yi is in the center. The other women are Cisco Borges, Joanna Pang, and I have to tell you, I got her name wrong in the book, but I'll correct it in public now. I put her down as Jennifer Pang, but it's Joanna Pang, and Cynthia and Arlene again. And that is, tell me. Coco, yes, okay, and I got her name wrong too. I labeled her as Keiko, but her name is Coco. But Cynthia Fong Yi is actually going to be performing today as the part of the Grand Avenue Follies, so she won't be joining us at this moment, but we'll introduce her again later. And Kobe Yi. Now this is Kobe Yi. Can I say any more? I mean, do I have to say more? Kobe has been with us dancing since the 40s, and she's just a wonderful spirit and wonderful story, and I've known her for a long time now, and her costumes are out in the exhibit, and I want to point out she made these costumes, and she's just a beautiful designer. And Kobe, please stand up and face, turn around. Okay, my son loves Kobe. So, okay, and he's here today. And of course, Dorothy Toy of Toy and Wing. Toy and Wing were a dance team that started actually in the 30s. And they traveled around the world and all the wonderful stages, all the big stages, London, New York, Chicago, before arriving here in San Francisco in the late 40s and began their bookings at the various Chinese nightclubs and danced at them until pretty much the end. In fact, Dorothy Toy, with her Oriental Playgirls, was at the Chinese Sky Room pretty much near the end before Andy closed up the shop. But Dorothy Toy is with us today. Dorothy, can you please stand? Okay, and Fawn Yi Liang, who's center front, is a dancer who has been in the dancing in the clubs since the 40s as well. Here she's pictured with other dancers from the club Shanghai. Up in the top middle is Fong Wan. You may know him as an herbalist, but he actually ran like one nightclub here in San Francisco and two others in Oakland as well. So he was quite an entrepreneur. But Fawn Yi Liang is, I think, Fawn is Kobe's sister as well, but she is a dancer, and Fawn is here with us today. Fawn, please. Stand, sir. Stand. and Ivy Tam, Kevin's mom, my best friend from New York. This is, and I met, and I knew Ivy because I knew Kevin, but I never heard of her stories. I knew Ivy for a long time before I realized that she was Mrs. Charlie Lowe #4. It's amazing. And this is one of my favorite photos. I mean, look, I just want to point out that headdress. I mean, what a great headdress. That's a lion's head, right? The lion's head. It's just isn't that right? It took me a while. I didn't see it at first. I said, wait a minute, what is that thing? It's a lion. It's just so beautiful. I mean, this is a great Halloween costume. I think that's my next Halloween costume. Yeah, there you go. But Ivy is here today, but she's also part of the Grant Avenue Follies. So she won't be coming out, well, now because she's in costume. But Ivy is going to be the fan dancer, so you'll know who she is. She's the fan dancer that will be performing today. Oh, and Cynthia, by the way, will be with the tap dance chorus number. And Jade Ling couldn't make it. She was gonna come, but she couldn't make it today. But I still want to keep her photo in because this is one of my favorite photos. I mean, there was something about that era of time and that where, for some reason, photos just don't look like this anymore today. I'm not sure what it is. Is it the timing, the makeup, the design, the lighting, or maybe it's the film texture? We're doing everything digitally today, so we don't get this fine, soft feeling of film as we did back in the 40s. And Pat Chin is right next to her name, and she's also performing with the Grant Avenue Follies today, so she won't be coming out right now. But she will be the first performer out from the Grant Avenue Follies, so that's Pat Chin right there in the middle of the ladder. And this is a shot from the 1954 show, Andy Wong's show, Chinese Vanities, that he took on the road. And Penny Wong was the former Mrs. Andy Wong, who was the owner of the Chinese Sky Room. And here she is winning the 1948 Miss Chinatown Bathing Suit Contest in Golden Gate Park. And you don't see it, but in the corner, I cut it off. This is my luckiest day, or you can ask her what it means, because she's here with us today as well, Penny Wong. Turn around the other way. They didn't see you on that side. Okay, here are the Oriental Playgirls again, with one difference. Can you spot the difference? Yeah, that's Jimmy J. Borges. And Jimmy J. Borges is from Hawaii, as you heard. And he performed at the Forbidden City, I think 57 through 59 or 60, a couple years in the latter history of when Charlie owned the club. And his name is really actually Jimmy Borges, but the rule that Charlie had, because he was advertising an all-Chinese show, was that all the performers had to have Chinese names. So he adopted the name Jimmy J, which, okay, are there like historians here? Is J a Chinese name? Yeah, I see, yes, no, yes? Yes, oh, okay, so there you go. It's good. Yeah, kinda, I mean, okay, all right. So he adopted the name Jimmy J. It's the same thing with Tony Wing. His real name was Tony Costa. He created the name Tony Wing to perform at the Forbidden City. I'm not sure if the other clubs required it. It didn't seem to, because I only hear of these requirements from Charlie's time, not the other clubs. And I think this is the last one, because right now I want to actually bring on the show. And the first performance we have will be by the Grant Avenue Follies. And the Grant Avenue Follies began staging shows at community centers.
Hey, yeah, you know! Sizzla Kalonji Black Star Mouse Death. Yes, sir. Peace aloud. Peace Selassie as conquering liar. It's like it even more. Keep your mind on me. When people say you're out just beware of it. They're saying that, they're saying this. They come and tell you about them are your friend or what is. Them are your enemy. And them are try to stop you. Sleep them plan with a game plan. One put the blame pan, one drop shame pan. Now you're dead and I wonder of your claim plan. When not them same one, them I say it and I want my time to scare. Get out of here, don't take you never play. So run away, I want my time to prove. I've got the victory. Stay low, stay fly. High score for the ball like my name was AI. Me, MD, T.O.P., MC, Ambassador, BK, NYC. Can save the comparison to them like me. Man, even if they pretty and they slim like me, baby, them not me. They walking with a forged ID. I'm everything that them not be.
They say you out, just beware of it. They're saying that, they're saying this. Them come and tell you about them and your friend or what is. Them and your enemy, and them and try to stop it. Them plan with a game plan, one put the blame plan, one drop shame plan. No way they can have your game plan when not them same one. Them a same one. Oh, but I'm scared. Get out of here. Don't think I'm not there. So run away. I want my job to prove. Just get the move. The rest is history. I got the victory. I want my job to scared. Get out of here. The guys are my blood. So run away. I want my job to prove. Just have you move. The rest is history. I've got the victory.
Me and Quad back in black like we MIB. Yeah. Supreme one of MIC. And I'm Brooklyn and black like LIB. With the GBYRD. If you can't keep your eye, keep your mind on me. Keep your mind on free. Ha. Shine. It's a lot. Rock on face like superstar.
When people sell you out, just beware of it. They're saying that, they're saying this. Them come and tell you about them and your friend or what is. Them and your enemy, and them and try to stop it. Them plan with a game plan, one put the blame pan, one drop shame pan. Now you're dead and I wonder a proclaim plan. When not them same one, them a Satan.
Fantastic, romantic, fantastic, dynamic, magnetic, universal.
The fastest sailing vessel in the world is here in San Francisco, preparing for next year's attempt at the Transpac record.
On flat water, the boat is a well-balanced flying carpet, and now the goal is offshore. We would like to fly on the Pacific swell between LA and Hawaii. It's the target for next spring.
But for now, they're practicing in the big breeze on San Francisco Bay.
This flying carpet is half a boat, half a plane. We have very big wings. These wings are working in the water as wings of a plane in the air, and the boat is take off with 12 knots, and suddenly the acceleration is really powerful. Our top speed is 56 knots.
There is 20 to 25 knots of wind every afternoon. So for us it's a very good base for practicing. I've been ocean racing most of my life. I joined l'Hydroptère des CNS in 2005 to coach the team because the boat was straight out of computers, and it was time to head for offshore sailing.
Alain knows it takes more to setting a record than raw boat speed. It takes support from around the world.
I wanted to share this flying carpet with American people. Here we are in near the Silicon Valley, in the temple of US technology, and I'm so happy to share with them this French technology, and maybe we can build the future together.
There's no question about how fast this boat can go when it has the right conditions. Finding those conditions requires patience and preparation.
We arrived in Los Angeles to make a record attempt from LA to Honolulu, Hawaii. It's 4 days and 19 hours to beat. We are racing Geronimo, a 100-foot trimaran, so we have a tough race.
We are waiting for a good weather forecast. The good weather conditions generally are in May or June. Now it's a little bit late, and we will be in LA between May and June. I think we could have good conditions for this attempt.
As soon as one record is set, there's always the next challenge to drive the dream.
The next step after the Trans-Pacific record will be to cross the Atlantic in 2 days and a half with a new boat, a new design, and we are looking for an additional sponsor to build this new dream.
Hey everybody, 1876 here, and I'm just going to demonstrate something that people other than me have been working on, but something I've been playing around with for a while. So here I have the orange San Francisco 2, and before I begin, can I just say this is an awesome smartphone. It is cheap, it is reasonably powerful, it'll run Angry Birds and Doodle Jump and stuff like that. And it's just all round good, and it's less than £100, so if you've been putting off buying a smartphone because of cost, then this is the answer to your prayers. But it comes with Android 2.3, which is decent enough. However, Orange butcher it with just rubbish. They put their own branded stuff on Google, Orange Maps, Orange App Store. It's just pointless, and so it's but because this is quite an easy phone to hack and install custom ROMs on, that's quite popular. And one such custom ROM is, I'm going to show you today, and it is Android 4. Sorry, Android 4, as you probably know, is appearing on a lot more phones than it has been lately. Specifically, it's obviously appeared in the Samsung Galaxy Next, and it's also in the HTC One series, and it'll be in the Samsung Galaxy S3. However, it's also being unofficially ported to many other devices, and this is one of them. And as you'll see, it's pretty developed. There's still some things which don't work as you'd probably hope they would, but we'll cross that when we come to it. So you can see the boot screen is just so cool. I love this so much. And see, it's pretty much stock Android 4. This is CyanogenMod 9 strictly, but it's got less CyanogenMod branding than usual. So if we unlock, as you can see, you've got your standard screen. So you've got, I've played around with this. So you've got Google Play, you've got your settings menu. Everything in there, and dialer, and you've got the camera, which I'll get to in a moment. Facebook, move along, and it moves fairly smoothly. Angry Birds, Doodle Jump, the whip from the Big Bang Theory. You've got your inbox. Oh, someone's been freaked. And so, as you can see, it runs quite well. Most things work as you'd expect. Really, the only exceptions are Bluetooth, which if we pull down notification, then you see that doesn't turn on at all, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure it'll work on it. And the other thing is the camera. Now, the camera in this latest version, it does actually work. It hasn't worked in the past. However, as you'll see, it is very jerky. Actually lining up a picture is quite a tricky task. However, it takes decent enough pictures. Just goes to the gallery. So you can see it's 5 megapixels. It's kind of what you'd expect from a camera and from a phone that costs this little. And there you have it. It is Android 4.0.4. It runs respectably well, respectably smoothly. It's pretty much complete, really. So I mean, if you own a Orange San Francisco tour, it's called the T-Mobile Viva City or the ZTE Crescent, depending where you live, then it is very much worth trying out, and this mod in particular is very good. It's making good development. It's going quite quickly. I'll give a link to the forum where discussions going on in the description below, and yeah, check it out. So until next time, see you later, and happy hacking.